Okay, cool. I just got to make sure not to bump my PC ever again, because that is a drastic error I've made several times. Okay, so back to it. We were wet sanding. We were wet sanding with freaking water because it's badass. Alright, I hate to have to restart, but there's really nothing to do to help that. It's fine. I just gotta be very careful not to, like, bump my rig. The rotten buffalo nerd? Oh, like he'd rather eat the something of a buffalo. Or no, sorry, he'd rather have a buffalo do something. I'm sorry. Okay, I think that's pretty covered. I don't have any tube putty right now, so I have to go get more. So, actually, that's not a bad design. Ironically, the panel I left. So, I like this detail on the corner here. So I think what I'll probably do is end up flat plating that whole line, and then I will just rescribe that detail on the corner. And I might put little braces right here, like just make them out of plot plate and just have little braces kind of come out like, I don't know if that's showing up very well, but focus in, focus in. You can kind of see the line, maybe on the detail camera actually. Here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more on this camera. Be a lot easier. So, here, I'm going to up the zoom a little bit. Okay, there we go. So, you can kind of see right here where these, I don't know, these, I guess these, I can't exactly imagine what the hell else they would be because they're clearly vents, but I'm probably going to have to put vents in here, but then I want to put a little kind of brace design right above each one, almost like a hatch. Not, well, not a hatch, because you don't need a hatch for a vent. It's always outputting, so. Okay, so that's done. I actually think I'm just gonna do that plot plating right now. So I'm gonna put the sandpaper. Here we go. There's the plot plate. So helps I can kind of cheat. So I'm just gonna mark off. Oh, I'll be right back. I hear my oven timer going off. All right, there we go. So, we last left off. What was I doing? I was plot plating. That's right. I was gone for maybe like 24 seconds and I forgot. But I remember. It's okay. So. Okay, here we go. If I'm lucky, I can maybe actually get it too. I don't know why I'm doing this on the shinier side of the plot plate, but it's fine. I'm sure it's not too. Nope, that's the right. So, I'm just drawing the stencil for kind of what I want to do with the plot plate is hard to cut, so got a bigger knife here I'm probably going to use. I find there's no easy way of doing it. Like, you can do scissors, you can use like those big clippers we used last night, but Saturday night I should say. Just kind of score it with the knife until you kind of want to be like super careful you don't veer off. Just kind of get Oh, hey Oscar. I'm just walking through. I'm plot plating right now, so I'm cutting out a piece of plot plate from a sheet. So the idea here, I gotta. Okay. I'm thinking I actually might be able to get away with doing like, if I cut clean enough, I might be able to make two for the price of one. So I'm just gonna have to draw. I'm gonna move this sheet for now. So, thinking I might draw kind of, because I actually really like this. You know what? This is cheating, but I have actually more of these, what do you call them? Scribing stencils. So, because this is, I made this design, but I think it makes more sense anyways if the actual design is not plot plate, or is plot plated, sorry, rather than scribed on, because it's a little like think it works better in a 3D shape. So, gonna basically, here's a pencil. Here. So, now that that's done, there's like a little part of the stencil you got to take out. That's weird. Hold on, I gotta fin it. There it is. Okay. So I'm just gonna color in with a pencil. I'm hoping if I cut this like uber clean, I'll just be able to duplicate the shape on either side, but it's possible I might. Just assumes. If you have any questions about what I'm doing or anything like that, always put them in chat. I will look at chat when I'm not. Oh, crud. I'm going to take the stencil off now because I've kind of done... You can do the rest with a ruler. This is going to be a little awkward. It's so small. Ham, is your profile picture Crocker? I can't tell. I don't know if he's still in here. Okay, maybe. Okay, no. Just a little bit. Okay, so that's not bad. I can just file it a little bit and then go for the kill. So it's not bad. So I will actually have to, I might have done that a little bit too much, but this one's good. This one's a lot better actually. Oh. File that edge more than to carve it. Basic setup for real modeling. I haven't had space to really get more stuff and nippers and a couple files, but I'm hopefully getting my own same place soon. Sort of a workshop style thing at NK. That's a big question. I am not the topmost authority to ask on this because I'm not going to lie, I build pretty ghetto with my setup. I only recently put this desk in, so I've got my building space right here, and my monitor to my right, and then my paint stuff in the center, and then my tools are all housed in... my tools are all housed in like little drawers under the desk, or bins and drawers under the desk. Well, actually, I keep most of my tools in these little boxes here and just sift through, find whatever I need. In terms of tools, the bare minimum I will recommend to anyone who wants to build more than like 3 kits is nippers, hobby knife, like essential or like essential, like can't do it without these, are these 2. Then I recommend them get sandpaper, be it sanding sponges like these, or oh, yep, thank you, stupid ass Facebook notification. You can make sanding sticks by, I literally ran through it earlier actually. These are from the shop, but you don't have to use these. You can make them out of literally anything. You can use a popsicle stick. If you take a popsicle stick, put some glue on it, spread a piece of sandpaper over it, then you can use a sand. That's what this is. That's literally what this is. This is like a piece of like plexiglass or some crap, but I put 400 grit over it. So now it's a sanding stick. Sorry. Aside from that, so you need your sanding stuff. Files are super necessary. I think if you want to do any sort of modification, file is the bare minimum you need to have. File and glue, but this is a bastard file. I got this from Umomo. This is for like gardening. This is if I want to like cleave the surface off of something a little bit more. Ignore how dirty this is, but this is from GSI Krios. This is a Mr. Hobby bastard. We call these bastard files. They're very wide. If you want to basically like file the surface down on something big, this is the tool to use. This is my most valuable tool. Pin vise is good to have. So pin vise, you open it up, you can put drill bits in. You also can get chisels if you want to do panel lining. Use them with that too. I think Godhand or whoever, not Godhand, Madworks makes a lot of pretty, like, I'd say Madworks is the best place to go for chisels now and scribing tools. They make pretty, they're a little bit pricey, but they're worth it. They're quite nice. They're not like horribly expensive. We sell them at the shop. I know that doesn't, in your case, Oscar, I know because you're in the UK, that doesn't really. But yeah, I recommend these Madworks. You can get a pin vise itself for drill bits. You can also get GSI Krios, Mr. Hobby does a starter pin vise set, which are, instead of just, being one pin vise, you get 5. So I think you get a 0.2, a 0.3, a 0.5, and then a 1 millimeter and a 2 millimeter, if I'm remembering. No, it's not. I think it might be a 0.5 and yeah, whatever. It's all the sizes you're going to mainly be working with if you're planning to drill things. Because if you're going to modify pieces, or if, another good use for a pin vise is if a peg breaks, if you're building a kit, and the leg peg in the hips snaps off, you fill it with putty, drill a hole into it, into both sides of where the peg snapped, put a little brass pin in there, glue it, and then your joint's good as new. It's actually stronger than it was before if you pin it. What else is good to have? There's also, I don't know if you're considering airbrushing. A spray booth is good to build. You can look up guides online for how to build your own. I think it's not that hard to build your own as opposed to just buying a pre-made one. You can literally take some wood and a fan and make one. It's not really hard to do. Just look it up. What else? Glue, I think I've said it before. I don't think I need to say this. Glue is very important. Plastic cement is your best friend in this hobby. Plastic cement is separate from actual super glue. The way plastic cement works, attach it to a piece, push 2 parts together, ooze that excess out, and it'll fuse 2 parts together. So if you want to fix a seam line or attach a part, the other thing I'll recommend is actual super glue, because there's certain surfaces that you won't be able to. The cement only works for plastic. It creates a chemical reaction that melts plastic and fuses it together. Super glue will be for gluing anything else, or if you want to glue, say what do you call them? You want to glue some resin parts, or I don't know, maybe epoxy. I'd say those are the bare minimum kind of things you want to have if you're going to be doing this long term. Super glue, I recommend the I don't recommend Crazy Glue or Gorilla Glue because those are different. The formulas they use are different. Gorilla Glue is pretty tough, but it's pretty easy to break the bond. Super glue, like, I don't have some on me right now. I threw out the last bottle I had because it was all messed up and it was the super thin. I'll see if I can find a picture. I broke my first MG and had to glue the joint. Yeah, a lot of people will make that rookie mistake of if they break a peg, they'll go at it with like Crazy Glue or something and try to peg it back on. But because the bond in Crazy Glue and stuff is meant, it's temporary because it's they made it for like World War II essentially, like patch up injuries until they could sew them. So it's meant to come off essentially. Like it'll stick for a while, but it's not gonna get in there. Whereas if you use plastic cement, there are two variants of this. This is the thin one. This is the normal consistency. It's a lot thicker. Works for larger parts and surfaces. You'll basically be able to get in there and actually fuse the part back together. And if you put a pin in that joint, you'll make it even stronger. So let's see if we can fix this piece. Even if this piece doesn't actually work, like the shape is wrong. Oh, Mike's freaking out. Even if the shape of this piece of plot plate isn't perfect, I can always just use it as a stencil and make a copy of it. It's pretty good though. Finding on thin plot plate, it's easier to file the edges down than it is to just shave it with a knife. Instead of small files, you can get, if you go on Amazon, you can get really cheap tool starter kits that come with a basic cutting mat, like this green one here. This one, bigger one I got, this is actually a MadWorks one. If I turn it over, there's some panel line design, which honestly probably would have been useful. I'm now realizing that there's an entire sheet of panel line designs on the back of this cutting mat, and I don't use it because I think it looks pretty and I don't want to get stuff on it. I don't understand how some of these people can have these nice-ass cutting mats and just never, and build just like hundreds of kits on them and just never get them dirty. Like, look at how scuffed this thing is. There's like knife marks, there's saw marks, there's paint stains. You name it, it's on here. I'm going to flip this over. Because honestly, I want to get my money's worth out of that. It is kind of like a hype piece purchased at that point. Like, it's a little silly because you're buying a thing. Oh, some plot plate under there. I got masking tape down where I was working, so I didn't move my thingy. But now we're gonna have to move it anyways, so doesn't matter. I'll put it back. So yeah, this literally has an entire like library of panel line designs I could be using right now, but I have just negated all of them and ignored completely. So let's see what we can kind of do, because I'm still plot plating. So the main focus is going to be plot plating because I do think that detail on there should just be plot plated anyways. If you see people doing panel lines, it's also applicable in a lot of cases to just make a 3D version of that detail and just apply it over top of the area where you'd have your panels, because that's all a panel line does on a mecha design. You just need to make sure you're actually kind of considering where you're putting panel lines, because a lot of people just put them willy-nilly. Actually, no, let's just do this. This one's a little messy, but I can salvage it. Oh, you know what? It's not bad. So, for this one first, I'm going to go... Where's the other skirt? I'm going to use the other one first. I put it somewhere. It probably fell down. Unless it's on camera right now and someone else sees it and I don't see it, and I'm a moron. Or it went under. In the meantime, why don't I go find... There's the other hand. Might have fallen on the ground, actually. Unless I'm just not seeing it, like... Oh, well, I found the cap for my freaking Wolfle blades. That's good. It helps to just, if you want, like, reference on scribing, it helps to just look at a bunch of stuff and kind of figure out. You can understand the theory before you've ever even touched a panel line. Understanding the theory and the technique are two different things. You can just go look at lots of examples. Macross has a good amount to choose from. Gundam, look at Real Aircraft 2, look at like Tomcats or whatever, stuff like that. Look at people's customs and just kind of start to notice the patterns. I feel like a moron. That skirt plate went somewhere. I don't know where. Oh well, I'll just do the other one for now. Unless it's under. Oh, I'm an idiot. I knew it. It was gonna be somewhere on screen. It was gonna be in my like peripheral vision, and I just wasn't gonna see it. All right, well. The biggest aspect to wanting... Oh, there's a mosquito in my room. How did that happen? The biggest aspect to getting into, like, the larger side of Gunpla in terms of, like, customizing, kit bashing, modding, scratch building, I feel like, just like with a lot of things, it's something where you have to just not be worried about messing up and just go ahead and do it. If you have more ambitious ideas, keep those in the back of your head for later and then just work up to it from there and just keep, you know, making stuff, because as the longer you're doing it, the more you'll improve. The more you're not doing it because you're worried you're going to mess up is more time that you could just be making. You're going to screw up regardless. But if you know what to do, making a mistake is not detrimental. Sorry, I'm just checking text right now. All right, so. Oh, I should actually get more Olfa blades too. That's another thing I need to restock on. So it's probably cured by now. So, then we got that. We just kind of go in there, press the knife up against it, use it like a stencil. Basically, just cut out our design 1-to-1. Try to get it. Don't cut in too close. Don't cut in too far. I'm gonna turn it so I have a little bit of a better. Okay. A little bit more. Actually cutting into the first piece there, but that's fine because I needed to reshape that side anyways. So. Be very gentle. I'm going to apply a decent amount of force. You kind of just want to score through it. Don't worry about not cutting it. Just every cut gets you a little bit deeper. So now we've got the shape sort of layered. Now I'm just going to adz it a little bit. The music is so stressful. I just have the Super Robot Wars arrangements playing right now. Well, probably a little bit loud, but I'll turn it down a tiny bit. I have no idea. You gotta have super robot music when you're building super robots. So. Just gonna make sure. This one side, just looking at it, eyeballing it. This side is very much taller. So. I'm gonna extend this a little bit more and see if I can just get a clean cut on there. Oh, jeez. Going with the nippers. I'm just trying to get it very flush right now. Once it's all flush with each other, then we'll put it on. So now it's too rounded. Always file one direction. Don't ever go back and forth with a bastard file. You will warp your part. Apply your force when you're pushing like this. What Braves would you want to see new kits of, RG or otherwise? My main thing, I want I pretty much want the entire GGG team. And then after that's done, Mike Guine is cool. Mike Guine's got a good design. I think he's probably got my second favorite design of any main Brave after Galgagar. J-Decker's cool. The problem with a lot of the earlier Braves, like Galgagar makes the most sense because Galgagar is essentially the fusion of like the classic super robot that of like the 80s stuff, like, you know, it's got that very big flashy combination. It's got that Transformers-esque model where it's like they kind of started it in with Diaclone, but there's a very consistent formula to like later G1 and Braves where it's like you got the main guy. The main toy is always the one with the most thing put on it, so Star Saber, Jinrai, but you've always got the main. This was done in Transformers after the fact. It was done in Car Robot too. The main robot, it's the same model they do with like Ultraman and Mazinger, where the main robot always has the most focus. But in you go from the core robot, the main robot himself, he is a somewhat smaller figure. He gets a vehicle he combines with, becomes the powered up form, and then he gets at least one more where he gets the big grand power up. So you get the Great Dagar and the Fire J-Decker, where it's a third toy that he can combine with, and then usually there's a supplementary one that can turn into a weapon. So you have the Savage Claw for the Galaxy Convoy Optimus. You have Gun Max for J-Decker. So it always follows that 1, 2, 3 winning formula. So Galgagar technically doesn't even do that. Galgagar goes from Goldion Hammer, that's right. No, Galgagar goes from to Galleon, like Galleon and Gygar, to Galgagar with the Goldion Hammer, right? And it's like Galgagar's transformation makes the most sense to do as a real grade because in the transformation animation itself, there's no mass shifting or proportion changing. Every piece of the transformation is consistent. The way it's shown in the transformation, it translates 1-to-1 into a toy, which is why if you go back and look at a lot of G1 Transformers, they look a little weird compared to their show models because the transformations weren't consistent. They changed around a lot. But if you look at Galgagar, he's completely consistent start to finish. That's why even the original Tarkara's toys proportions, they're a little bit dopey, but they're still consistent between all three. Like it looks very good for a 97 Transformer toy. So they kind of brought that they carry that logic over into Fire Convoy, which is and like Galaxy Optimus and Armada Optimus, and Energon. But that toy is bad proportions anyways. So I would like to see Mike Guine because his design is fairly free of mass shifting. J-Decker's pretty good with it because essentially he just folds up and turns into a thing, but it's a little hard to get the core robot right. X-Kaiser would be really cool. It's a little harder. It's not impossible because they're doing a Soul of Chigokin for it and they did a masterpiece. You just need to do that. I think it works better as a Soul of Chigokin because they're going to get that like masterpiece style engineering they've been doing in the recent masterpieces, because now it's getting to the point where they can implement enough complexity into the toy design by just making the toy $500 that they can have like 40 different moving parts on the shoulder that make the shoulder consistent with the model and then somehow turn into like an actual car. Okay, now that we've got that, I'm gonna try it with the nippers. I'm chancing it here, but okay, pretty good. Yeah, my top pick would be probably Mike Guine. Energon Prime is a really cool super mode. It's a really bad base robot because there is one, like, I was talking to a friend about this. There is one, like, huge mistake they made with that toy that, like, ruined it. And that was the electronics. Because the core robot was so small, and they wanted to implement the gimmick, but they had no idea how or where they would put it. So they ended up... If you look at every other truck, like, front, like, flat, like, big lorry Optimus, right? Like, if you look at every single other one... They're always, they change the proportions of the front of the truck to the robot mode. So parts will fold in and compact to look more like proper abs and that kind of stuff and pecs. They decided to put lights and sounds in the toy. So now suddenly you have a big, like, electronic block in the chest. So when he's in robot mode, all of the mass is still located in the cab because the cab can't turn, or, like, it can't fold anymore or do anything. So they were like, just have the arms and legs, like, dangle off. So that's, he just looks, that core robot is so bad. That super mode is good though, because that's kind of clearly where they put the focus. The Wing Saber mode I really like. They made a huge mistake giving that toy electronics though. It's especially sad too because they were coming off of, like, it's weird to look at Transformers toys in the 2000s because you go from like 90s to 2000s, you go from Beast Wars, which were done by Kenner, you go from the Braves toys to the Car Robot line, which was like recycled Beast Wars stuff, G2 stuff, and then just like a couple new molds that are all really good, like Gigatron, that Fire Convoy Optimus, Ultra Magnus. Those three toys are amazing. But then you switch to Armada, and it goes back to, like, G1 style engineering. And everything's a brick. And then Energon, they start to actually make the toys posable again. And then Cybertron is where it peaked for me. Like, I think Cybertron is, like, as good as classic kind of Transformers toy design I ever got, because they had the gimmicks. They had the bright, like, colors and proportions and all that stuff. But they had the modern touch. Like, they were very articulate. The proportions were great. They had that super robot feel to them. Like, Cybertron, I will defend to high heaven. I love Cybertron. So, gotta get in there a little bit more. Gotta just feel with my nail. That's not... Well, that looks good. So, we're gonna chance it. Might be a little bit rough. So now that I didn't glue the whole thing together. I just glued part of it, so should be able to just, split it apart like that. Super glue actually might work better than cement because the glue won't warp the plastic. Like, it won't fuse it, so when you break it, it might look a little bit rough, but it's fine. You can just file it. So, got our stencil design right here. So, moment of truth. I might have to sand this a little bit more because there's still some epoxy on the surface, and we don't want that because when we glue that, it's not going to stick. It's catching another surface. I lucked out. I had the original Fire Convoy growing up. He was my favorite freaking toy. Like, well, he wasn't my favorite toy. Cybertron Optimus was, and I'll kind of hold that to still a better toy because Fire Convoy is awesome, but he's not for kids. Like, that is not a good kit to toy to give to a kid because the kid will be too brain dead stupid to know how to transform it. Like, that toy is really complicated. It is like unreasonably complex in terms of its design, but it looks amazing. I believe those were done. I can't remember. I think it's the same guy who did that. He did that toy and he did Ultra Magnus. He's a brilliant dude's a genius. But he did Gigatron. I believe he did Gigatron too, or somebody else might have done Gigatron. Gotta get more. But yeah, no, he is a wizard. Cybertron Optimus I will still hold as a more fun... I don't have mine anymore, and I cry about it every night, but I needed cash when I was like 14 for something. I don't even remember what it was. And I pawned that off, and I'm a moron. But yeah, Galaxy Convoy, that is just like, that is as good as you can get. Like, he's got great proportions. The super mode is flashy and just fun enough. It's got good gimmicks. The lights and sounds are something that actually add on to the toy and don't like take away from it in Energon's case. The versatility of that toy too is great because you can combine it with Victory, or not, what's his name, Victory Leo, whatever the lion guy from that show's called. I can't remember his name. But yeah, you can combine it with the you can make the Savage Claw mode. You can do the Sonic Wing mode where he combines with Wing Saber. That Energon Wing Saber is pretty underrated, I will say. I like him a lot. I get the criticisms of like the pants mode, or sorry, the jet mode doesn't really look like anything, but I think the toy has more than enough going on elsewhere to like justify that. So you see we got a part going on there. I'll just apply some cement into the, kind of want to get that to fill in the gaps down there. And then push. So you want. Armada, I think overall Armada's got the best designs from like an aesthetic point, like in the show. The Cybertron designs aren't as easy to appreciate because they're rendered in a less than like pleasurable. I mean, the CG's not horrible by any means, but oh, hi Gabe. The CG hinders how good the designs are, but as somebody who grew up with the Cybertron toy line, like there's maybe like 2 bad figures in that whole line. Everything in that line is fantastic. I had a lot of them. I still have. I don't have that many of them anymore. But man, like I'm pissed about that too because those toys were the shit. They were so cool. That Megatron is sick. It looks way better in the Galvatron colors to me, but whereas you look at Armada, the designs are cool. All of the toys are like, they kind of suck. They're not like horrible by any means. Like they're still good, but it's like they are so regressive. They feel like G1 toys where they're just big bricks full of gimmicks. They don't like, that's the best thing about Armada too. It's why I have a problem with it more there than anywhere else. Armada's show, when it looks good, like the art can be really good in Armada. The animation is questionable, but because they were rushed for time. And there's a lot of neat, really good-looking art. The stock sequences in Armada look really good. That style is like peak post-Brave Super Robot look. And so it's a little bit of a shame to have these gorgeous-looking designs in the show that when you see them as a toy, they don't have any of those dynamic proportions. They can't do any of those poses. So it's a bit of a shame. Energon actually has really good designs, but the CGI in Energon is horrible, so nobody ever talks about it. Because Energon as a show is a bit of a misstep completely and utterly. So I'm going to try and line that up with this one to make sure they're facing the proper... I don't know if I'll be exact with these, but... I think I should put that one on a little bit, too. See if I can move it. Yep, I got time. Okay. Well, there's like a few select sequences in Energon that weren't done by like CG. There's a few select sequences in that show that were animated in traditional, and they look friggin' amazing. Because I know they got I want to say Jun Kawagoe animated one of them. Because I know they got a Get a Robo animator, and I can't remember if it was. I'm trying to remember what they got a Get a Robo animator though to do one of those 2D sequences. I can't remember which one. And that's the messed up part, is because for those Unicron Trilogy shows, the localizations actually aired before the Japanese versions. So if you actually sit down and watch either Micron Legend or Super Link or well, not really Galaxy Force, but definitely those first two, you can still kind of see it in Galaxy Force, but not as much. The animation quality in Micron Legend versus Armada is like way better because they actually had more time. There's a really infamous, the first time you see the Jetfire Optimus combination, it's really, really rough looking in the American one, but in the Japanese one, it's actually pretty dang clean. It's kind of funny. So we're just waiting for that to cure now. After that's done, we'll snip off, carve that out. So, actually, you know, I think these are lined up. I'm going to put them on the crotch just to make sure. It's hard to eyeball that, and I'm not really one of those people who's like insane about using like measurements. But it's like, yeah, the groove should be right about over. That looks right. That looks right. So we can get in closer. I'm going to turn the lights down a little bit. It's a little bit too bright. But yeah, the Cybertron designs are really dang good. Like they're just like good. They're all fun. They make great toys. Like there's no inconsistency between the show model and the toy really. That Metroplex is so badass. I'm so glad they made a new one, and I'm not gonna get it because it's like $300, and Hasbro's like overpricing all their shit now. But I'm really glad they made a new Metroplex from that Metroplex design, because that Cybertron Metroplex is so cool. That Menasor too, even though he's not really like Menasor. I don't remember, because they have different names in the Japanese versions versus the American ones, because they just used whatever trademarks they still had, because they lost a lot of the G1 character trademarks like Bumblebee and Shockwave, so they just kind of took whatever they still had and just put that name on a character. Like they didn't have Shockwave, so they had to use Shock Blast for that Energon Shock Blast, which is honestly in hindsight is a good decision, because that's a good character in of himself. I like that he looks like Shockwave but isn't. So I think we can get this plot plate out here for now. So we got our details on the mini cam. You won't be able to see it right now because it's a little bit. What's the word? Well, kind of. You can see the glue and. So a big thing here too is I'm gonna. Actually, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go to my kitchen quickly. There we are. Yeah, the bicycle Micron in Armada was called Highwire. It's weird they did that, because if you actually watch the sub for Armada, Demolisher is Ironhide, and then Ironhide is like, oh god, who is it? They all have weird names like that don't really apply to them at all. So they were just using whatever names they had lying around at the time. And I'm sure that's part of the reason Hasbro nowadays is so stingy about making new characters, is that they don't want to have to register the trademarks when they can just milk the old ones. So, okay, what now? Scratch more of those vents. So. Just cutting out a big square of plot plate to use. So we'll start with that. I'll use more as I go along. So I already kind of did the first 2 vents here and here in the shoulder. So we got to do the entire rest of them. So let's start off with the front ones because we get the money shot in first before anything else. I want to make sure these are aligned a little bit. There we go. Okay. You know, it'll be fine. Once I rescribe that detail, it's not really going to be too much of... Actually, these are probably hard. I could probably do this now. I'm going to use the scissors for this. Actually, it's probably better to just go. So I'm just cutting off the excess from where I applied the sheet. You don't have to, if you're plot plating, you don't have to really worry about making the part that you're cutting out of the sheet conform exactly to the right measurements, because you can always just do this. So then I'm going to go at it with a file, or sorry, with a knife. Shave, very careful to shave. Be very careful when shaving with a knife because you will go way too far in. So now that the surface is a little bit more, here, I'll do the side while I'm at it. Oh, peeling off there. Need more cement. If your part is peeling, it means you haven't put enough cement on. Okay. Yeah, Hasbro does not own the rights to Fire Convoy or Gigatron, so they'll never go back. They'll never go back to RAD 2001. They're just gonna pretend it doesn't exist. Which is a shame because I think all of the new toys they did for that line that weren't like leftover Beast Wars molds or G2 molds are all really nice. I love the Victory Gundam. I need to build my MG Victory. I've never seen the show. Don't stop, carry on. The thing about third parties doing like a modern, like that's kind of my thing with Galaxy. I feel this way about both Galaxy Prime and Fire Convoy. If you've ever had them in hand, they are quite literally perfect. Like there's nothing to iterate on. Hasbro tried to do a modern version of the Cybertron Optimus, and it sucked balls because the original toy, if you have it, is well put together. Like it's a chunky boy. It's before they stopped skimping out on plastic because of plastic costs. You look at that Siege one, it's like the proportions suck. The details is not even half as present. That just feels cheap. There's gaps and holes everywhere. It's like a third party could probably do a good job, but the other thing about that is just that like there's really not much to iterate on aside from ankle tilt. Like that's really the only there's like minor things to improve on, but it's like I would not, if I own the original Fire Convoy or Galaxy Optimus, I am not paying $300+ for like a fancy third party one that's like maybe 10% better than the original. There's quite literally almost nothing to iterate on those two. So you kind of see now. Just going to file across that till that surface is a little bit. See if I can cheat there. I'm gonna hope the plastic might melt a little bit, and I can just cheat and squish that and get rid of that because there's a little bit of a gap there. That's a good point about the third-party fired convoy too. Yeah, I got mine for $60. It doesn't. You can get them cheap. There's not. I got mine $60, and I think the only thing that it was missing is the blaster pistol that comes with the base Optimus. I still need to get a new Cybertron Galaxy Optimus because holy crap, that toy was my childhood, and I literally hate myself. Like I would go back in time and punch younger me for getting rid of that toy. And I mean that. So, corrupt there. So you can see now. Here, I did this part first, actually, before I make that declaration. Don't stop shining. So you can see now. Here, I'll try and get in a little closer. See if we can turn the lamp down a little bit because it's a little too bright. It feels a little bit too bright. There we go. So let's put that on now. You can kind of see. Oh, did I bump the first one? I did. Oh no! Well, how long have we been going? Can I... Is there any way to restart Streamlabs without like closing the actual stream? Cause hi Goog. Having technical difficulties right now. Let's see if I can fix it without. Oh, hey, there we go. Okay. Nice. All right, we're back. All right. Glad it was that one, because that one I see I can pretty easily get functioning again. I'm going to turn... I want to turn the... I'm going to turn the brightness down a tiny bit on that one. There we go. It's probably a little bit better. So you can kind of see now, kind of go in there. I'll shut up close. But here, let's try and zoom in a little bit. We'll go on the B cam. You can kind of see there, we've got our first raised detail on the left. Oh, that's the... No, sorry, it's on the right one. On the right skirt plate, we've got our raised detail now. It's a little plain. I'll probably go in there, up top, chisel these 2 bits. Or, you know, I might just keep... I think if I add a scribed detail right there, it'll balance out. So, that's the skirt pieces done. Now... Oh, so, no, hold on. I gotta file this one. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting way too ahead of myself. I need to do one thing at a time. So, if I cut here... And, whoop. Right there. Combine it with a file. File it, until we got a clean surface. Same thing on here. There we go. And there's our plot plated surfaces. So I'll pop this back on. Might take it back off. You know what? Let's do this. Another beginner tip, if you're getting into like modding or painting, you can snip a peg down a tiny bit to make the fit easier to take apart. So you like look at how much. Then when you're done, you glue it. When you painted the kit, you glue it back on. It's simple. Oh hey, welcome to the stream. So I just finished plot plating on the skirts. See if we can get on there, maybe a little bit better. It'll show more once you paint it because, you know, you'll go at it with this boy, the panel liner, and then you know the detail will stick out more. But it simulates. It's essentially the same idea as scribing a panel line. The only difference is you're not scribing the line in, you're adding a surface on top that creates that line. So it's more three-dimensional. You can't see, it won't show up on camera, but you can see the difference. So, now that that's done, I'm just wondering, should I go back to doing the vents, or should I do something else? Because I still have to scratch build, like, a few more. The other option is I go grab some plow rod and we get started on these thrusters, or what's another thing I could do? I could add something on top here, but I'm not really sure what I'd want to do. Easier than pens. The pens only... You're talking about the little like fine liner type ones, right? The little fine liner type pens, they won't work on a painted kit. They only work so well on an out-of-box kit. You can get actual paint markers that use lacquer, but I don't recommend those past a certain point. Like these, I have one in here actually right there. These are good if you need to touch up a couple spots, or if you whatever, because it's just lacquer paint but in a pen. I don't recommend those for panel lining. You can use this, or you can literally just go buy enamel paint. Thin some enamel paint, go with a detail brush and just apply it the exact same way you would this stuff, and then just when you're all done, go over it with some enamel thinner. And it's the best way to do it. There's really no... If you're panel lining a kit, just use this. Like, the little pens are nice if you're just doing out of box, but if you're painting or whatever, I recommend these. These'll just look better anyways, even on an out of box kit. The only thing you gotta watch for is it's not like getting too much in there, because then it'll get in the cracks in the plastic. Same thing with lacquer paint. You gotta watch that when you're doing lacquer. So, I might get started on these vents then. Provided... No, I think I should be fine. I gotta go find some plow rod, though, because I need to use plow rod for this. I have some. I just need to find it. There it is. So, plot plates. Probably not as well known, but just as useful. Sister material, plastic rod. Just a rod of styrene plastic. You can get them in a bunch of different diameters. Even if you're an out-of-box painter, that panel line fluid is good. But you can just go get enamel paint, and just get like a nice set of enamel paint and use that, and you think you'll be just fine. I'm gonna be honest. Enamel paint is very good. I'm an acrylic boy. I'm realizing I should probably start using more enamel, but I've just always messed with acrylic. So I'm kind of having to relearn painting right now, but I'm just taking a break because I want to just do a nice, simple, slightly customized painted GP03 for this group build. So I got to check something first. That's about right. I don't have anything smaller, so we're going to try... We'll try it on one of the back ones in case this doesn't look good. Bear with me. This is kind of the first time I've done something like this specifically. Flame Toys Optimus has Magna Convoy. Airbrushing is, yeah, airbrushing is fine. The main thing about airbrushing is you need to set up a spray booth. I don't have the room for one. I might ask the new owners of my building or of the house that we rent, if I can set a booth up and me think about getting an airbrush. Oh, for those curious, here's the frame detail on the MG. 20-year-old, not bad. Quite not bad at all for... These old MGs actually have much better frame detail than the newer ones. They started skimping out on the newer MGs. There's one every once in a while, but you can tell which ones certain teams worked on. Like, the detail on this is nice, though, for a 20-year-old. It doesn't have an entirely full frame, I don't believe. Like, even the arm's not full frame, but it's pretty good where there actually is frame. So, I'm going to go grab a Dremel. A Dremel is also a fantastic tool to use if you're modding. It is like the most multi-purpose thing you'll ever use in your life. Wondering if this is the right. I'm gonna test this on where's the big thick, big ass thing of plow plate. This is it's like an actual board. I had to saw through that. So I'm gonna find the correct drill bit here. And then once I'm done that... Oh, it's, yeah, 21 years old. It is from 2001, I believe. It is an old kit. I will say, though, for a 20-year-old Master Grade, like, I think between this and the G Gundam MGs, like, it's a really interesting period for Master Grade, because it's right before they hit that peak in the mid to late 2000s, where MGs were just, like, every Master Grade from that era is just consistent. Like, there's really no low hangers. Like, every kit was really good. They had amazing detail. Like, even the modern MGs don't have the same level of detail. So, the purpose of that was because a moron who doesn't keep his drill bits labeled, and I mixed them all up a while ago to see that that's the right size. Okay, because this is this is our 3.2 millimeter. So I don't have anything. If I had anything a tiny bit smaller, I'd use that, but I do not. Actually, you know what? Smart boy idea time. Smart time. Actually, you know what I might do while I'm working on this thing? I might do a leg articulation mod, because I think that's something a lot of people probably want to see, because it still uses the ball-jointed hips. This thing has jack shit, because it just bumps up against this. But I think if I slim the top down here, I think that's a good idea. I think I'll do that. I'll take the leg armor off for now, then. I actually might do that now. Or we'll do this first. We'll see how this turns out, because I'm curious. Just get in there with my knife and put a little... I don't have a spin blade or anything, so... I could do this... part of me is lazy and wants to see if the Dremel will do it. I think that's a bad idea. I think I'm realizing now... I am realizing now this is probably the better call. I'm going to put my chisel away quickly. Because it's a very small surface, and if I veer off course with the Dremel, I will mess it up. Here, let's get in there a little bit more with the knife. Just making a divot for a pilot hole. There we go. It's about the center of that surface. Actually, you know what? This is a little too awkward. I can't get any footing. Maybe I will just try it with the Dremel. Oop. Oops. A little too thick in there. This old plastic is very, like, tough, for lack of a better word. But we got it, so no worry. I'll probably just putty this anyways, so I don't think it's going to matter a ton if it's, like, destroyed under here. Because, yeah, I did melt into it a little bit. But I'm realizing that's not really... Hold on. Just going to try. Because I don't think it kind of... Okay. No. I'm going to snip off the rest with this. Because that surface around there is kind of melted. Yep, so that's a pretty good fit, but I will have to file that down. Actually, might be better. I'm just going to take a closer look here. Yeah, there's some. So, boop. So, now what we're going to do is snip piece off, get the X-Acto. Just trying to make sure I'm cutting completely. I can't use nippers for this because it will create, it's going to be flat. These are tough, though. Actually, you know what? I have an idea. Try that. Let's try filing the end down. It's got to be flat. pretty good. Yeah, I drilled that a little bit too big, actually. But it's fine. So, I do realize that this leg is hollow, though, so I don't have anything to baseboard it against. So I actually might make it a little bit longer. And just... So, it's flat now. Boom. A little bit too, actually a little bit too long, but you know, that's fine. We can cut the other side. Okay, there we go. Cut maybe like a millimeter. Just I'm eyeballing everything right now, so. So we got that now, and then make a little bit more sense how I'm doing this once it's done. This is not gonna go, I don't know if this will go over exactly. No, it will, it will. So you can kind of see now how it's under that plate. Now it's created that sort of, that different shape has been made. Let's see if we can get it on the... You can see under the skirt armor now, there's the piece of plow rod we put in. So that's part one of that modification. Part two is a lot more simple. Although it is stuck in there now, so I might have to pop open the actual leg and get it out. Or I can just do this. That pushed it in. Oh god, guitar pick. Unplug. Actually, wait, no, that's not dependent on anything. It's okay because I'll be going in there with putty once it's done. I'm just testing it at the moment. I don't really care about this detail, so I'm not a frame guy. I'm gonna like it with all the armor guy. It's probably better to do this with the legs separated anyways, so. So here we've got our leg piece. So I need to find a smaller drill bit now. The pin vise. This might be a little bit too small, but it's fine because better to drill too small than too big, because if your hole is too small, you just can go through it with a bigger bit. So the plan now is to drill through the top. This is going to be very difficult. I might mess this up the first time. Essentially just having to eyeball this. So far so good, actually. If I had like a tube, because I know they make like hollow plow rod. I did not get any pre-stream slop today, unfortunately. Actually, wow, I cannot believe I am pulling this off the first time. Getting overzealous now. I'll probably mess this up in a matter of seconds. Well, it's really hard to see now. Not quite. You can kind of see it there, right? A little bit. I've drilled a hole in here. You know what? This might help if I do this. Call back. So there you can see we filled the top in now. We've created an indent so that when we... Where's that armor piece? It was this one. So when we run that through that peg hole, let's see if we can get a good angle of it. Now we've got a little micro thruster in there. You can kind of see it. It'll look better. I'll put pictures on Instagram later. But yeah, no, it's because it's a pretty plain looking detail. So now we'll rinse and repeat because we've got one. So now we'll make a second one, and then we'll drill a hole for him. There's a really good book. I'm not sure how easy it is to get, Oscar. I'm not sure what you look up in English to get it. It's called the Scratch Build Manual. It's pretty good. It's in Japanese, but the diagrams are very comprehensive. If you at least kind of you can kind of figure out what he's talking about just from the diagrams. He runs through a lot of really basic scratch building techniques. Scratch building is like, a lot of people kind of forget how broad it can be. It can literally be something as simple as like adding a plate detail to something. Like it can be adding, just raised details like we did earlier. It can be doing this, which is, putting in a little thruster. Or it can be like, scratch building a whole ass Gundam. It's actually not that hard once you kind of understand it. It's just getting to that point where you kind of need to just get it. You need to be able to design things. That's the biggest, I think, how do you put it? Block to learning to be able to scratch build something is just, you just need to be able to design something in your head and then make it. Oh, it's getting a little, I'm losing my grip here. I don't need gloves to put on for... Yep, there we go. There's our second one. There's our second pipe. I'll post pictures of this on Instagram afterwards for anybody who wants to see the results a little bit more. Oop, that's way too much. But yeah, you can kind of see I'm filling it in with the panel liner fluid just so I can get a sense of what the depth looks like on the hole. It's not exact. It's a little bit off. The hole is like a tiny, like an eighth of a freaking millimeter off. But it doesn't matter when you're this close up. Like, it's covered anyways, right? So that's 2 down. It's more an aspect if you want to learn this stuff of just you have to actually start doing it. Once you figure out what you need, just get all the stuff that you need and just start going at it. Just get a very basic idea of something you want to do and just go a little bit at a time. It can be even something as simple, like the mods I'm showing here are pretty simple. They're not like super complex. Because we're just going in, we're drilling. Here, let's finish this leg off first before we start drilling into the other one. drill a little stuck in there. Like I said, this plastic's a little bit tough to work with, but it's fine. I've already carved out like a bunch of it with a knife, so dremeling through it is no challenge. File would be best for this, actually. Yeah, because of how the plastic on this is, because it uses an older formula. It's very, like, tough. So we'll try just poking it through. It might not have, you know, I might have to drill it a little bit more. There we go. Should be good. I'm sure that sounds awful on mic, but let me go in there with my knife and just make sure I'm getting all the debris. I'll be very careful not to drop these before I put them in, like, because I'll probably lose one, and then I'll end up making another one, and then I'll end up making another one. Alright, so I gotta shave off some of that. There's some nastiness all around. That one actually, that hole actually is a lot better diameter-wise. That this first one's a little too big. Once I got a feel for the plastic, I sort of ironed out. Which is why I started with the back one first. That's another thing, if you're about to do a mod that you know you're going to be doing multiple times, don't do it. Don't make the first time you do something on a kit, like if you're doing that, if you're adding panel lines or you're painting like a surface or something particular, don't start with the most obvious place. Start with somewhere where if you screw up, it's going to be the least likely place to see it. Oh, no, don't want to lose that. I'm going to be, it doesn't matter that the surface is messed up because I'll be filling the gaps in that are created with putty anyways, so. Nice, all right, there we go. So, let's apply our skirt or our leg armor back on. Let's put those in there. And voila. You can see it on the first cam, actually. I think you can see it pretty well. We got our thrusters poking out. Let's show it on the second cam. That looks pretty dang good, I do say. This one, we'll have to actually glue. This back one we'll have to glue in place. But that one right there, that one turned out perfect. Not wanting to ruin a kit, for lack of a better word. Don't start on a kit that you either really like or a kit that you paid a lot of money for. Don't ever do that, because there's you need to learn to develop that mindset of, like, it's fine that this kit ends up in my parts bin because I wanted a part from it, or it's fine. Because it's, at the end of the day, you just kind of realize, like, it's your kit. You can do whatever you want with it. If it's a kit you really like and you don't want to mess up, get a shitty kit. Go buy an old HG. This is the best advice I can give. If you want to learn, if you want to sink your teeth into the hobby and really learn what you're doing and the basics, buy an old HG and get that old HG to the point, like, get the GM Cold Districts or the Zekulines or we have a Vampla in our group. Vampla, we have a boot camp. We're going to be turning it actually into an online video series and showing, like, it's going to be a paid course, but it's basically going to run you through the basics of all the mods you need to do to get any kit looking up to par. But if you get an old HG, if you get, I have the, what's it called? Or I had the Zaku, I had the Garma Zaku. The old, like, HG Zakus, any old HG kit, because here, let me see if I have a good example of something built, but not, like, fixed up. I have my Vignazera. I'll go grab that. This is like an overkill example to use. This is pretty dang overkill because this is a 92 kit, so there's more than a lot of work that goes into this. But if you buy a super old, shitty kit, I mean, I actually really like this for a 92 kit. It's very nice. I've been modifying it slowly but surely, trying to fix, you know, the proportions, the details, everything, because I love this design. The Vignazera is like one of my favorite mobile suits. But if you get an old kit and you just go like, it's really, because old kits have really obvious flaws that are easy to address, as opposed to a modern kit where it's not as easy to improve upon it because it's already pretty dang good. So if you get an old kit, you'll be like, oh, what is this? It's a friggin' seam line. Look at that ugly ass seam line. You'll learn how to fix this because it's very obvious. You'll learn how to scratch build apart because it's not there or it's missing. You'll learn very fast once you find that the tools you need aren't so easily, like, once you find that the things you need out of your kit to look good aren't present on the kit, you'll figure out what's missing very fast and you'll figure out how to add them. So just get an old HG, Cold Districts, Nemo, the OG like Mark II Gundam, like not the Revive. Anything kind of like that pre-Unicorn era of HG should be good. Maybe not 00, because actually 00 HGs are quite good. So now that we've got that done, let's rinse and repeat again. Oh. Okay. Oh god. My aim is rough. Keep veering off. Here, I'm gonna make a knife. I'm gonna get my knife out and make another pilot hole. Again, doesn't matter if this raised shape here is ruined because it only shows up behind the gap that the part leaves. So if we put putty in, it'll just conform and fill that shape in. Okay, it's two more. That's like, I gotta do this front one too. It's a little bit weird because I'm gonna have to actually do that one. I'm gonna have to do the front ones last because they're pretty awkward. I'm gonna have to, because there's a seam running right here, so I'm gonna have to glue the parts together. I'm gonna zoom out on the top cam for now. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. So back to this. We'll basically want to go. Here, let me just reposition myself. So we got our holes there and there. I'm gonna have to make two more of those rods, but that's fine. Just use this one to make sure the hole's the right size. It's not. It's very definitely not. This honestly would have been a great build to do a video of. I am planning to switch over to doing long videos where I walk through the process like this. But it's fine to do on stream. I still have my 1/100 bile planned as the build where I'm going to show off how to change proportions on a kit. Because those 1/100 IBO kits, despite being pretty dang good, they don't have the nicest proportions. So let's close that up. See if that's any good. Boop, 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 boop. So there we go. Looks good. Let's bring the armor over. See if that covers it. It does. We'll have to glue that in after, though, I think. No, there's just a tab. It's a weird tab. Oh, I think there's a poly cap that goes in there or something. No, maybe not. Maybe I'm just stupid. It's weird. It's a weird shaped tab. Well, that's good. Now we can just make more pieces of plow rod. Victory is cool. Like I said, I'm confident about losing at least one piece before this is over. So, same as before. For now, when I start doing videos, I'll use these same two webcams and probably just use my... Because I don't own a DSLR. Well, I own a DSLR, but I don't own anything that can take video in, like, super high quality. These webcams are about the best I got in my phone. So I'll try to split the video footage I do between these, but eventually once I got more money and I'm a little less broke, I'll probably buy a new camera and start filming with, like, a macro lens. Because some of these mods I'm doing are very small scale. It's actually pretty relaxing to do something like this. It's very simple. Like, everything's kind of laid out for what I need to do, I think. Sort of going off. It's nice. It's going to be nice to have this done the next, like, couple weeks. I'm hoping to get this done because it's part of a group build. I'll do a painting stream when I paint it. You'll have to bear with me because I've been kind of... I got really into modding in 2020, and I was already kind of getting into it before that, but before that point I was doing painted builds. I wasn't doing custom stuff. I got really into modding, like I was doing modded builds before, but nothing to the degree I had been. Like, I went all in, and it's like everything I would just make weird kit bashes, and I'd never finished anything. I got 2 builds done in 2021. I got nothing done in 2020. I've gotten, I want to say 3 builds done this year. which is actually pretty good. Like it sounds small numbers, but all 3 of those things, save for one, were like pretty big things, like big projects. And one of those, the kit bash that I recently just finished, I did that in a couple months, which is pretty record time for me. The Bongon took like a year. So, pretty happy about that. I'm not really worried that some of these aren't completely flush because it's not gonna show. You'll never end up seeing that detail anyways, so. Stand up to the victory. Oh, did I? Nope, so we got 4 so far, so we need 1, 2. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope, just. Oh no, wait. Yeah, there's a lot of these. I forgot. Okay, so I need. Okay, I've got 4 now. I need 4 more, and then I need 8 more for the other leg. Okay, so that's the thing about scratch building. It just takes a while. Da, 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 da. I'm out here with only straight build kits, LOL. I think Weeding Zero Verka was like 5 days, and that was my longest. I used to be at the point where I would buy a master grade, and I would literally build that shit in like a single sitting, and I don't know how I did it. Like well, I do know how I did it because I did it again recently when I got the MG Turn A, because I was so like into the design and just the suit itself that I was like, I think I'm going to build this in one sitting, and I stayed up till like 7 a.m. and did the whole thing, and I'm still intending to do a lot more with that kit, actually. I rescribed the panel lines on it. I'm scratch building a Moonlight Butterfly out of clear plot plate right now. But yeah, it's you go as you need. It's not a matter of how long it takes, it's a matter of if it's good or not. It's important to find a good balance between taking your time and not getting too caught up in one thing, because eventually you kind of need to take a step back with anything, especially Gunpla. If you're one of those people who's doing like insanely customized, like scratch built stuff, you kind of need to get to a point where you realize, like, I should just finish this and do something else. I've kind of started to whip myself more into that, like, I'm not going to do this thing till I finish this thing, because then I'll just get distracted over and over and over. That's like, it's not always the most fun, but for me, it's a model that works. It should always be fun, but if you don't mind setting goals and challenges for yourself that are maybe out of your comfort zone, then I recommend doing it. It's all a matter of how much you enjoy. But I do think it is genuinely good to push yourself. Not to the point of, you know, the hobby not being enjoyable, but to the point of feeling like you're accomplishing stuff that you wanted to. Because otherwise, you know, you let it sit, it doesn't get done. The first time you do anything, the first time you try any of these techniques, it might not look amazing, but honestly, if you wanted to, you could even just get this kit and do what I've been doing here. Kind of outlined how to do it all. I still haven't built that wing Verka. It seems like a really nice kit, but I'm just not the biggest wing fan, so it seems like a Verka that actually, like, is and fits the definition of what a Verka should be. I feel like if you're going to make a Verka kit, it should be of an actual Katoki design and not like something that's outside of his spectrum. don't think New Verka looks bad. I think High New Verka actually looks really good, but New Verka just doesn't. I've just realized, like, New Gundam specifically, I like the squashed proportions. Like, I really like the Izabuchi proportions. I like the like, kind of longer legs, and then the more sort of, like, chubby torso. Well, not longer legs, because I think the Katoki's one's got way longer legs, but, I like the big knees. And same with the Sazabi. I think the Izabuchi proportions are fucking perfect on the Sazabi. I don't think I'd change them for anything. I think I got... Oh, I think this is the first time I've drilled a hole and I've gone off course. Can I save it? Honestly, this is what, like the 6th one, and this is the first time I've kind of majorly messed up the drilling. That's pretty good. The GP01 takes a lot more work than this kit. I'll warn you that out of box. That GP01 needs way more work. The proportions are kind of fucked on it. You will have to fix those. It's a lot more work. The GPO of the GPO master grades, the 1 is the worst. I'd say the 3 is probably the best. The 2 is actually really good, but I think the 2 is the kind of kit you build with the explicit purpose of wanting to modify it. The Stamen's not that much more than the GPO1. I think the 1's only like... I don't know, I got the Stamen as a gift. My friend bought it, but this kit only retails... This is like a pretty low-end master grade. It's about as cheap as the line gets. This one's not very good. It's fine. That's fine. Again, still pretty awesome that this is the first time since I started doing this mod that one of these pipes doesn't look that good. And I'll see if I can fill it in with the fluid, and maybe that will change my mind. You know what? It's fine. It's usable. I'll put it on the back. The Sazabi and CCA is chunky. I absolutely agree. I don't even hate the Verka. I hate the RG's proportions, but the Verka is fine. I'll always just prefer the like big chested. I love the puffy chest Sazabi with like the big ass like wide chest, and like I love that anchor kind of silhouette he has where he looks like an upside down anchor where the arms, like the shoulders pop out and then the arms curve out and then back in and create like two separate looking hook shapes. It's kind of like a weird, it's like the same thing as the Obari stance. Like I just love that inward elbow bend kind of thing where the mobile suit has that silhouette. I don't know if I have anything, but I love that aesthetic where the mobile suit kind of has that inward bend shape. It's one of my favorite mecha design things because it just makes it look very masculine. Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna modify these because that's just something that a lot of people talk about. Is, you know, they hate building older kits because they have these ball joints. It's not like it's even really a bad thing in the GPO's case. It really restricts the posability. But it's a good looking kit. The proportions are good. I'm planning to put the VODs up for this stream. You can always message me if you need help with anything though. I don't mind. So boop 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 boop. So we should be good to put these other two in. So I'm not really gonna mind if, yeah, if someone needs my help and I know what they're talking about, then I won't hesitate. Yeah, that one's kind of weird looking, so I'll put it on the back. So I'm just fitting these in right now, I think, just to kind of get a better look. And then once I have them all the way I like them, I'm going to glue them, and I'm going to putty the surface so that they end up looking nice and clean. I wonder why that's not going in properly. Is there a tab or something on here? Oh, there's a polycap. Okay, that's what that polycap is for. This right here. Where is it? No, because it's... I don't know. I'm just going to glue this in when it's all said and done. Oh, yeah, no, there is a polycap. I just pushed out. So, there we go. Let's see if we can get it to show up. Yep, you can see it on the main cam. You can see that we got our little micro thrusters there. Because that's a very obvious detail that's clear. Like, it's a Kotoki design. It's not... there's no way it wouldn't be there. I drilled the hole a little bit, too. I can fix that. The B cam. Oop. So that's painted, it'll look good. So we got one leg. Oh, no, we got to do the middle one still. That's right. Well, we still got a lot to go on these. So I'm going to put the uglier ones at the back. Well, Dremel time again. I'm just going to drill all of these at once. Here, hold on. I might finish this one leg and then call it a night because it's 10:30 right now. I might go to 11. Again, I don't really care if I mess up. Oh, again, got stuck. Plastic's pretty tough. Damn, man, that's one thick little hole. Okay. There we go. So that's another 4 down. So I'm going to yank these pins all out. I'll probably just put like a gelatinous like glob of putty in the middle. I'm not going to fill out the whole leg because that would be stupid, but I'll probably fill out the interior a little bit to make it a little bit more weighty, and also so the pins don't bounce around as much. So let's try shoving that through. File down. Do 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 do. Oh, I think one of these holes is a little too... Okay, we'll make it a little bit bigger. Yep, just didn't go. Sometimes you drill the hole and it doesn't go through all the way. we go. Thank you, Bishop. I just ended up having to do like mental gymnastics to figure out who Doputron was, and I was like, I know that name. Okay. There we go. Pinned in there. So, almost done. Almost done the first leg. I think I'll just probably bite the bullet and just do them all. I know that hole. That I can tell from immediately that hole is not going to be thick enough, or is not going to be wide enough to pass that through. So. I did the angle of these ones was a little bit weird, but it's fine. These are very minor, so it's not going to matter because they're going to be covered by another piece anyway, so it's not really going to matter at all if they're slightly off. So we've got, so far, we need 8 per leg. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go to 8. All right, where's the freaking rod? So I'll probably just cut another pretty big piece of this plow rod off. Building, modding process, I don't think I ever asked you. I like designing my own stuff a lot. I just like designing things. I think the most fun part of Gunpla for me is getting to personalize it and turn it into my own thing. Which is why I've never been an out-of-box builder, because like I kind of realized when I painted my first kit, I was like, this is something that I like is completely mine. It is one of a kind. It's something that I made that nobody else has anything exactly like it. So, and then I kind of realized like, oh, you know what? It's just an art form. I'm just going to start expressing myself through it. Like, you might see a GP03 with similar mods, but it'll never be quite... You could put the two together, it'll never look exactly the same, because you can get some pretty similar looking styles and pretty homogenized, but I think everyone's kit is their own to some degree. My favorite part of the actual like hands-on building aspect, I can't say there's a single technique I enjoy more. Sculpting is obviously my favorite. I need to go back to doing my biomechanicals. Sculpting has been my favorite because it's something I was doing before I started Gunpla, and I found a way to incorporate into it. And I've been, you know, trying to learn all the other techniques, because I realize like I excel a lot in some areas and then I lack a lot in others. So I'm trying to, last couple of years I've spent just trying to get more well-rounded in terms of all the techniques, the styles, and I just need to be aware of where I'm lacking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's actually a pretty clean cut. I do also just, it doesn't matter what context it is, but when I'm designing something, be it of something that already exists or something new, I do love that aspect of like when, you know, you're stuck on something, you're like, how do I design a shape here, or how do I design a shape I already have in my mind, like an idea, how do I create that? And then I'll have a moment where I could be doing literally anything. I could be just walking and it'll pop into my head, and I'll be like, I'll have like a light bulb go off, brain blast moment, and I'll just like jump up and shout, yes! And Then the moment I get the chance, I'll go and make it. It's easy for me to work out. I'm lacking literally everywhere at that moment. Well, then pick one thing at a time. Pick somewhere that you'd like to start and realize what it is you want to be doing. And then as you run yourself through that process and learn more about the hobby, you'll figure out what it is you like and don't like. And you can assess your strengths and weaknesses alongside what it is you actually like design-wise. And you'll hit that kind of point where you're like, this is the style I've developed as a builder. And you can lean in more to what you find a balance between what you like doing and what you know you're good at. Modded Zaku with a big parachute kind of thing. I never built that. No. I've never done a Zaku. I've never done a modded Zaku. I've built the Zaku 2 master grade out of box. And then I used it for parts farm. I've built the HG Zaku sniper, but I only painted that. I never modded. I've never modded a Zaku. I built the MG Goof. I built the MG Zaku cannon and painted that. That was a fun one. But yeah, never done a custom Zaku before. I might have posted one on my story or something, but I've never done a custom Zaku. I'm not a huge... I lie when I say that. I actually am a pretty big Xeon suit guy. I have an entire display that's purely Xeon suits, but a lot of them are Neo Xeon, so... no, actually, no. I realize I'm a liar. I'm a huge fucking liar. There's an entire, like, cabinet full of, like, Zagox and such, so... I am full of shit. Okay, there we go. Okay, when camera 1 dies, it's pretty easy to fix. I think nowadays I'm way more Federation oriented because I realize I like, of Gundam designs, I like the more traditional super robot look. I like Zaku's a lot, though. They're cool. My favorite mobile suits are typically the ones that aren't really tied to either, like, design philosophy. But I like the more, like, tricked out Fedi suits because the thing about Federation... This is the same true for Xeon with the Zaku, but, like, Federation mass production suits are all, like, some variation of the GM. So they always have that idea at the core, and they just take that one concept and just take it in as many directions as they can. So you'll end up with stuff like the Rizel, or like the Jagan, which is undefeated. Man, Jagan is like top tier grunt suit. Just all this kind of stuff where it's just all derivative of the Nemo because they figured it out in the 1 Year War. They said, we got one model of mass production suit that's really good. Let's just keep improving this and just not... And then Xeon never got that memo. They just kept doing new models. They ended up on, like, Gelgoog, Dom, Goof. Oh, I just remembered that idea. I have trying to fit MG Hyzak parts onto the Zaku 2 frame. Yeah, that is... I would recommend looking up... I'm sure somebody's done that. Look it up first to see if it's been done. It's probably not going to be that hard to do anyways. The Hyzak, MG Hyzak is fucking not... It's not a good kit. It is not a good kit. It is old. Look it up to see if anyone's done it, and if not, look up if anyone's put a comparison up between the two kits. And, like, Dalong might be helpful, actually. There's a site called Dalong, D-A-L-O-N-G. It's a review blog. The dude has built, like, every kit known to man, and he puts up very complex, like, in-depth reviews of all of them. So you could go find the Hyzak and the MG Zaku and kind of figure out exactly where the differences are in what you need to do. and then the rest is pretty trivial. Because you obviously, I think the big thing is with kit bashing, the proportions are going to be different, and the parts aren't going to fit together one-to-one because they were designed differently. So you'll have to be able to fill in those gaps with your own knowledge. So you'll basically have to be like, if I put the Hyzak armor on the Zaku 2 on the arm and it's too short and there's a gap, how do I fill that gap and make it look natural? Stuff like that, gotta consider. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's one leg done. So I think now we can bust out some glue and some putty. I like the Hyzak. Well, I don't know. It's okay. I think it's a concept is really cool of just like repurposing, because the whole thing about the Hyzak is it's like the Federation, the Titans trying to rebuild their military strength after the 1-year war ends. And obviously, you know, they're pumping out new models like the Quell and the GMs, and they're like, oh, we got all these confiscated Xeon suits that we took after the war. Why don't we just retrofit them? And then they just got a bunch of ugly shit sticking out of them. But it's like, as far as that concept goes, I actually think they've done it a lot better with stuff like the Zaku F2 and the FZ are both really good depictions of like the retrofitted Zaku, even though those are 1-year war, because the F2 and the FZ are both like even though we've got the Gelgoog going on, because they realize really quickly, because the Zaku 2 has seen a lot of deployment, and it becomes outdated once the Federation rolls out the GM. So they're like, oh, we need a beam suit, we need a beam capable suit, and they throw out the Gelgoog. And Gelgoog's pretty good, but they're like, we only have so many of these, so they pull back all the Zakus that they still had, retrofit them with like newer weapons and like mobility gear, and just kind of throw them back out on the battlefield. So I think I'd probably be pretty good to just glue some of these in, because some of these have pretty. Actually, I'll try the thinner. I love the F2 and the FZ respectively. I think both are fantastic takes on that like design of just like retrofitting the Zaku and turning it into a more modern mobile suit. So we're fitting them in now. Actually, that's a pretty decent looking one. I'll put it right there. So, finding, oh, shoot. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Can stand a few burns. Basically, like that. Just gonna put that on to make sure that that's gonna fit properly. As long as it's flush, and I don't care. Alright, so far so good. Gundam, I thought the Hyzaks were Zakus for like 3 or 4 episodes. Oh, they are Zakus. They're just not Xeon affiliated Zakus. Yeah, they're just retrofitted Zakus. Kind of the same way as like post World War II. You know, taking German tanks and shit like that and retrofitting them. This is a good looking one. So, here we are. Looking good. All right. Looking good. Very, very talkative tonight. Alright, so it's pretty good. And then once they're all kind of set, I'll just snip off the excess, put some putty on the back so they don't fall out. And then we'll do the other one while that's setting. And that'll be the first leg done. I'm gonna have to get more cement. I'm running so low. Okay. That's one down. Turn that so the angle's good. Kind of have it so it's like pointing out. It doesn't really matter if the placement's not exact. It's not really precise in the slightest. It's really small. So I don't think anybody will look at it too closely and care. They'll probably see the detail more than anything. This one I actually might have to putty. Unless I can get it to just sort of sit in there. No, it looks okay. Shoot. Yep, gonna be out of this. Gonna just use whatever I can for tonight. Okay, let's hope that holds. So, how long do builds like this take? This is a pretty simple mod. Depending on what the actual process is like how old the kid is, how much work there is to do, or what I'm doing, the process can take anywhere from like, the longest build I ever did was like a year on and off. I worked on other stuff between them, but I never really got much to show for it, so it was just a lot of learning. It depends how intense you're going at it. I can get this done. I think I'm going to get this done in the next couple weeks, I think, because we're pretty far along with I'm pretty far along with the mods. Oh, the doy. The vents are the main thing. I want to get these vents done, so I've got to do these still. I've got some in the... I'm going to do this mod here and put these skirts in. The legs are pretty much done. I'll probably do the articulation and... Oh, I don't know. I don't mind the chat. I don't mind the stream chat at all. I actually prefer I'm getting engagement over just silently building. I prefer that people are interacting. But yeah, I think we'll be done fairly soon. I might add a little bit of detail to the feet because, you know, it's pretty easy spot to detail because you can kind of put whatever along as an accent and not really worry about it. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with the back boosters yet. I'm really kind of going along. I'm still kind of learning here because I don't typically design like these kind of, Katoki style is not my thing. So I'll do the leg mod articulation probably, and I'll just show how to scratch build that because it's once you know how, it's pretty easy and it's a nice tool to have. You just need to drill. Pretty much that's the only thing you really need. But we got a lot done so far. We got that hip mod done. We got one of the legs done. So making pretty good time here. I'll also be doing some smaller stuff off screen. I did these panel line. Because I blow when it comes to scribing. So I ended up doing these panel lines on the biceps because I realized they weren't there, and they're pretty clean. If you look super closely, you'll kind of see a little bit rough. But yeah, I'm not very good at scribing. Scribing is a very gray area for me. So we've got these two still. Ooh. I'll probably wait till these are done setting, put the putty in, and then close the leg back up, and then we can kind of observe the fruits of the labor. They'll probably take another minute or two to cure fully, and then I'll take some of this epoxy putty, mix it, and then throw it in there. You can kind of see it if I put which is the back one. It's this one. You can kind of see it, though, if I put it over top, like that. You see it pretty well. So we'll paint when I paint that, it will look a lot more convincing, but I think it looks good right now. They sell the point of being like micro thrusters. Because it's a detail that's obviously supposed to be there. Looking at the design, like why would these panels be exposed if there's nothing there, right? And this is a thing a lot of Gundams do, is they always have little open hatch details here, like for thruster ports. They have those little thruster ports a lot. So I really love the GP03. I'm not like I'm a pretty big Katoki fan. I like a lot of his designs. It just like some of his more obvious ones I think are some of his worst ones, like the unicorn and stuff. But the Sentinel's awesome. I love his wing stuff, his UC stuff. That besides like the unicorn is quite good. All of the supplementary designs for unicorn are really good. His work on Stardust Memory obviously is iconic. The Goof custom. The wing stuff is really cool. His virtual on work is actually some of my favorite. I love the virtual on designs so much. They're so cool. I have a virtual on kit in my backlog, the Volks one, and I'm planning on doing that at some point, but I do want to airbrush that. So I'm going to ask a friend if I can use their booth. So I'm looking pretty good so far. Not quite set. Well, this one is. Here. Just go ahead and cut. Whoops. Good news is now I can just use these to make more. And then let's grab the foot out there. This is actually just a quite nice kit out of box, I'm not going to lie. I had a good time snapping this thing together. I think the most impressive thing about this kit is the core fighter. It is gorgeous, and it has great detail. And they give you a second core block in case you want to display it with the core fighter out. Because I think this might be my favorite core fighter. I think the Turnaze is still my favorite because of just the concept, but I really like the GP03. The GP01s is really good too. The GP01 is a pretty perfect redesign of the RX-78 to me. The full Vernon is so cool. Oh. Ah, whatever, I'll touch that back on after. Oh, that's on backwards. I'm a silly Billy. There we go. So one side done. Now let's rinse and repeat. We got our thrusters. Boom. Like those, one of those Plamo Kyoshiro guys, or Plamo Sukuru or whatever it's called, that one show from like the 2000s, the Japanese show where they just showed all the modelers. I binged that one night and it's so good. Here, let me, I'll put the name of this in chat if anyone wants to watch this shit. It is so cool. I gotta, see, I've created a problem for myself now. I don't know how I'm gonna get this over without. I'm realizing I made these a little bit too. I'll be able to fit it over. I just need to cut. Actually, you know what? Screw it. These pegs aren't necessary. These tabs, I should say. Just need to, yeah, see, that's a problem I've created now, is I've created a gap that was too big for this to clamp over, but it's fine. It'll just, I made these shoot out a little too much, so thinking maybe I could push them in, or maybe I feel like I can just, yep, ba-bam. And then just push them in a little bit more. But yeah, there is our modded leg. So you can see right away. Looks a lot better. Still need to try and find the... Oh, dude, good luck finding the MG Turn A. It is... I had to get mine from a friend who had one in his backlog. I had to convince him to part with it. I haven't seen the thing in years. It was... From what I understand, it was supposed to be getting a reprint, but I never saw it show up. The HG got reprinted recently, if you don't mind. The HG is really good, actually. The HG is turbo solid. I actually regret not getting another. I should have got a second one. I think everyone's kind of already sold theirs. The thing about Gunpla nowadays is it's like first come, first serve, pretty much. So... There we go. There's our completed leg. So it's got a much better looking profile to it now. There's more detail going on. I might, because it is a little bit malformed right here. Actually, maybe I'll just take these off and put them on over top, because... And then, yep, no, that's pretty good looking. I did have to put this back on. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. So, oh, shoot, I missed, I knew I was missing something. It's never that easy. Oh, here we go again. God damn it. I think it goes in like that, right? Yeah, it does. Well, I'd probably be able to get away with just prying it open and sandwiching it in there. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna... This is a good opportunity while I'm at it to actually take this off and putty the interior, because I don't know why I would be closing it back up. I think I should just do that now while there's time. And then that actually gives me a chance to file. I'm gonna just file this one down, man. He's texting me. Okay, so yeah, this one was a little bit too long. So we'll go in there. We will take some epoxy putty, 2-part. I have like 3 tubs of this sitting right there. This is like the greatest thing ever. You can get it in bulk. Like this. It lasts you a really long time, even if you're a crazy ass sculptor like me. I use so much of this stuff. This is actually one of the things, if you're going to get into the heavier side of building, I really recommend you get. Get it in 2 parts. You mix it. It's nice and malleable. You can sculpt it. It's not great for adhesive purposes like some putties. It's more for sculpting. The Tamiya 2-part one is a little bit better if you want something to kind of stick pieces together. But it's great if you want to sculpt or if you want to fill gaps on your kit. You've got some empty gaps. The unicorn is unsalvageable though. Yeah, no, sorry, the unicorn sucks balls. I will be the first person to say that it is his most overrated design. I don't know. It's weird because I don't know. It just doesn't achieve anything. Like it's a lamer super robot. That's the only way I can say it. It's like the Shining Gundam's transformation is literally like 3 parts on it moving, but it still has more of an effect, I'd say. It's way more minimal, but it's a lot better. I think Gundam super modes are very hard to tackle. They're very hard. They're especially hard to do because I think a lot of the people who do them don't want them to be kind of... They don't want to create that... How do I put it? They don't want to make a Brave. The unicorn is one of the most popular Gundams. They had a statue of it in Tokyo for like the better part of a decade. It's gotten more. I think it's probably the only other. It's gotten 1 billion kits. It's the most popular Katoki design by far, which is a shame because I think his most popular design. Actually, it's either the unicorn or the Wing Zero, but I think the unicorn's probably more popular. I like his other stuff, like the GP03. I think that the Sentinel is genuinely like fantastic. I think the Sentinel is a gorgeous design. It just sucks because a lot of people aren't really familiar with the Sentinel because of the whole shabacle with him not being able to really use most of those designs. Well, Bandai not being able to use most of those designs because of the legal stuff. And then we got a Mark V Master Grade, and it was P Bandai, and I was mad. I was very mad. The unicorn sucks. The unicorn is just a lamer version of the turn A. In terms of its function in the story, design-wise, they're completely different, but the turn A looks better. But the unicorn, in terms of being that, like, uber powerful, like, everyone is kind of scared of it. Nobody knows what it's capable of. Kind of has a mind of its own sort of Gundam. I think the turn A is just way cooler in every regard. I don't know what they were thinking with Unicorn, because they were were they trying to copy Get a Robo? Were they trying to, like, I don't really understand what the objective was, because the guy who wrote it is wackadoo. I don't like Unicorn. So I'm gonna mix a tiny bit more of this stuff. Fill it in. And then maybe, you know, maybe do the seam line. I don't even care that much about fixing the inner seam lines on the frame because, quite frankly, nobody's going to see them. Just another pro-life hack for Gunpla builders. Don't worry too much about stuff that no one, including you, will ever see. If you're not planning to ever expose your frame and you don't feel like painting it, don't paint it. If you don't want to paint your pilot, don't paint your pilot. Like, if you don't want to paint the interior of the cockpit, it's an option. More than anything, it is just an option. In my dream. All right. So we got that. We got. Put that back in for realsies. And close this gap. Because the armor will close it anyways. So I'm not going to worry too much about that seam. Voila. This I might mess around and file it down a little bit more so it's a tiny bit more flush, because I notice it is not 100% flush. But that is good. All right. So the putty will, you know, hold everything in place. I'll probably do the second set of that off stream. But you know what? That seems like a pretty... this one's a little bit off center, but you know, I don't care. It seems like a pretty good place to end it. So we'll kind of do... I'll put the leg back on. You can see a little side by side of how the leg sort of looked originally. So you can sort of see our added details versus the vanilla kit being completely, you know, clear surfaces. And I do realize these are a little bit off center. I might go back and fix that, but they're a tiny bit off. These ones on the back turned out really good though. So I'll try again with the other leg, and then I'll go back and report. I will put all the pictures up on IG for this after I stop recording. So I got a lot of rods here. I can just make more of those thrusters pretty easily. So next time, assumedly, I'll have more of these vents done. I might have them all done by next time, but I think next time what I'm going to do is maybe work on the arms or the feet or the chest. I'm going as I go. I'm just trying to add tiny details around to it so I don't mess up anything. So, thank you. I think I'm going to log off now. Thank you for everyone who showed up. It's been good. I got a lot done. I think I'm also going to add... I'm going to rescribe these, because I covered them with plot plate, so they're not there anymore. I'm going to rescribe these little corner details. But yeah, I think these are it's working. It's coming along pretty well. He's a very plain looking kit, so I think any detail you add will go a long way. That's another thing about building old kits that I think works really well if you're trying to learn. Any details you add to these kind of kits, because they look so plain, it's going to go a long way. All right, well, I think I'm going to end it now.